Self-hatred isn't a personality trait. It's an addiction more powerful than any drug. Like a faithful dealer, it promises protection but delivers destruction. It masquerades as motivation but acts as paralysis. It pretends to push you toward excellence but actually drives you deeper into despair. And just like any addiction, it has convinced you that you can't live without it. You've become so comfortable with your pain that it feels like home. You've wrapped your identity so tightly around your self-loathing that the thought of letting it go feels like death. But here's the truth. Your self-hatred doesn't want you denied. You're not actually addicted to hating yourself. You're addicted to avoiding your own power. Every morning, millions of people wake up and immediately begin their daily ritual of self-torture. They look in the mirror and see failure. They replay their mistakes over and over like a broken record. They tell themselves they're not good enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough. They carry this invisible burden of self-hatred everywhere they go, letting it poison their relationships, sabotage their dreams, and slowly drain the color from their world. Are you one of them? When was the last time you looked at yourself with genuine love and acceptance? When did you last celebrate your victories instead of obsessing over your failures? You see, self-hatred is the silent epidemic of our time. It's the voice that whispers you can't when opportunity knocks. It's the weight that holds you down when you try to soar. It's the wall between you and everything you've ever wanted. But here's what most people don't realize. This self-hatred isn't natural. You weren't born hating yourself. No baby looks at their reflection and thinks, I'm not good enough. This is learned behavior, programmed into us through years of misinterpreted experiences, unrealistic expectations, and wounds that never properly heal. Think about how you talk to yourself when you make a mistake. Would you ever speak to a friend that way? Would you tell a child they're worthless because they failed at something? Of course not. Yet somehow we've convinced ourselves that this cruel internal dialogue is normal, even necessary. Let me share something profound with you. In all my years of working with people from every walk of life, I've never met anyone who achieved their dreams by hating themselves into success. Not one person ever found lasting happiness by beating themselves. Not a single soul ever built a meaningful life on the foundation of self-loathing. The truth is, self-hatred is a learned response to pain. When something hurts us, when we fail, when others criticize us, we internalize that pain and turn it into a weapon against ourselves. We think if we punish ourselves enough, we'll somehow become better people. But that's like trying to grow a garden by pouring poison on the soil. Right now, in this very moment, someone in this room is thinking, but you don't understand. I've made terrible mistakes. I've let people down. I've failed when it mattered most. Yes, you have. We all have. That's not what makes you unique. That's what makes you human. Your mistakes don't define you. They refine you. Your failures aren't your identity. They're your education. Your past is not your potential. Every cell in your body is working tirelessly to keep you alive. Your heart beats about 100,000 times every day without you having to think about it. Your lungs take roughly 23,000 breaths to keep oxygen flowing through your system. Your body is constantly fighting off infections, healing wounds, and regenerating cells. All of this incredible complexity, all of this perfect orchestration is happening right now inside you. Does that sound like something worthy of hatred? Does that sound like a mistake? The universe doesn't make mistakes. You are not a cosmic accident. You are not a collection of flaws waiting to be fixed. You are a living, breathing miracle who has simply forgotten your own worth. But here's where it gets interesting. Self-hatred isn't just an emotional state. It's an addiction. Like any addiction, it provides a twisted form of comfort. It's familiar. It gives us an excuse not to try, not to risk. It becomes our safety net, our go-to explanation for why things aren't working. And like any addiction, breaking free requires more than just willpower. It requires understanding, compassion, and a complete rewiring of our thought patterns. Take a moment right now. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Think about the last time you felt truly at peace with yourself. Maybe it was when you were lost in doing something you love. Maybe it was a quiet moment in nature. Maybe it was when you were helping someone else without expecting anything in return. In that moment, where was the self-hatred? Where was the inner critic? They were silent, weren't they? Because in those moments of pure presence, when we step out of our stories and into the reality of now, we touch something true about ourselves, something that can't be damaged by past mistakes or future fears. This is who you really are. Not the voice of self-hatred, but the awareness that hears that voice. Not the collection of mistakes and regrets, but the consciousness that observes them. Not the person you think you should be, but the being you already are. The journey from self-hatred to self-love isn't about becoming someone different. It's about returning to who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. It's about remembering what you forgot when the world taught you to doubt yourself. But this isn't just about feeling better about yourself. This is about liberation. This is about reclaiming the energy you've been wasting on self-hatred and channeling it into something meaningful. Think about it. How much of your life force has been consumed by this internal war? How many opportunities have slipped by while you were busy beating yourself up? How many beautiful moments have you missed because you were too preoccupied with your perceived flaws? The most devastating aspect of self-hatred isn't just what it does to us emotionally. It's what it makes us do in the physical world. It makes us settle for less than we deserve. It makes us stay in toxic relationships because we think that's all we're worth. It makes us abandon our dreams before we even start because we've convinced ourselves we're not capable. Have you ever noticed how your self-hatred becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy? When you believe you'll fail, you unconsciously create situations that prove you right. When you believe you're unlovable, you push away the very people who try to love you. When you believe you're not enough, you hold back the very gifts that could make a difference in the world. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Your self-hatred is lying to you. It's not protecting you. It's not motivating you. It's not making you a better person. It's stealing your life one moment at a time. Think about a garden for a moment. When a flower isn't blooming, we don't yell at it. We don't shame it. We don't compare it to other flowers. We look at the conditions. We check the soil. We adjust the water and sunlight. We create an environment where it can naturally flourish. Why don't we treat ourselves with the same wisdom? Why do we think beating ourselves up will somehow lead to growth? The truth is, growth happens naturally when we create the right conditions. And the first condition is acceptance, not resignation, not giving up, but true acceptance of where we are right now. Your self-hatred didn't appear overnight. It was built brick by brick, experience by experience. Maybe it started with a critical parent who was never satisfied. Maybe it was reinforced by bullies at school. Maybe it grew stronger with each perceived failure or rejection. But here's the crucial point. If self-hatred can be learned, it can be unlearned. But unlearning requires courage. It requires you to question everything you've believed about yourself. It requires you to stand up to that inner critic that, like time that voice of self-hatred speaks up. Ask yourself, is this really my voice? Or is it an echo of someone else's judgment? Is this truth? Or is it fear wearing the mask of truth? Most of us are carrying around beliefs about ourselves that we've never questioned. We accepted them as children when we didn't know any better, and we've been living by them ever since. But just because a belief is familiar doesn't mean it's true. You know, it's fascinating. Research shows that the brain can't tell the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's real. Every time you tell yourself you're worthless, your brain treats it as a real attack. Your body releases stress hormones. Your immune system takes a hit. Your emotional resilience decreases. In other words, self-hatred isn't just making you miserable, it's literally making you sick. This same principle can work in your favor. Every time you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you acknowledge your worth, you're strengthening neural pathways that support emotional health. Let's do something right now. Take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs. Feel your feet on the ground. Now, bring to mind something you typically criticize about yourself. Maybe it's a physical feature. Maybe it's a personality trait. Maybe it's a past decision. Now, instead of attacking yourself for it, try something different. Try being curious about it. Why does this particular thing bother you so much? What would change if you could accept it? What if this very thing you hate about yourself is actually serving a purpose you haven't recognized? You see, self-hatred is often a misguided attempt at self-protection. That critical voice thinks it's keeping you safe by pointing out every flaw, every potential for failure, every possible rejection. But it's operating on outdated information. It's using strategies that might have helped you survive childhood but are now preventing you from truly living. Every time you've grown in life, every time you've achieved something meaningful, every time you've made a positive change, did it come from a place of self-hatred or self-love? Did beating yourself up give you the courage to try something new? Or did it keep you stuck in familiar patterns? The path to change isn't paved with self-hatred. It's paved with self-understanding. It's about looking at your behaviors and patterns with compassion and curiosity instead of judgment and shame. You can acknowledge that you want to change without hating who you are right now. You can have goals without using them as weapons against yourself. You can grow without destroying yourself in the process. The journey from self-hatred to self-love isn't about becoming perfect. It's about embracing your humanity. It's about understanding that your worth isn't something you earn. It's something you already have. Look around this room. Every person here has a story they're ashamed of. Every single one has moments they wish they could erase. Every person here is laid awake at night, replaying their mistakes, wishing they could turn back time. You're not alone in your struggle. Your pain isn't unique. And that's actually good news. Because if self-hatred is universal, then so is the potential for self-love. If we can learn to hate ourselves, we can learn to love ourselves. If we can be our own worst critics, we can learn to be our own best advocates. It's not about bubble baths and positive affirmations. Real self-love is fierce. It's protective. It sets boundaries. It makes hard choices. Sometimes self-love looks like saying no to things that no longer serve you. Sometimes it looks like walking away from relationships that drain your spirit. Sometimes it looks like disappointing others to honor yourself. Think about the people in your life who truly love you. They don't love you because you're perfect. They don't love you because you never make mistakes. They love you because of who you are. What if you could offer yourself that same kind of love? Your self-hatred has a history. It has a purpose. It was trying to protect you, motivate you, prepare you for a world it thought was hostile, thank it for its service, and then let it know its job is done. You don't need that protection anymore. You're capable of facing life with an open heart now. Every time you catch yourself in self-hatred, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, would I want a child to feel this way about themselves? Would I want someone I love to carry this burden? If the answer is no, then why do you think you deserve any less compassion? Here's the truth, that your self-hatred doesn't want you to know. You can fail at something without being a failure. You can make mistakes without being a mistake. You can disappoint people without being a disappointment. Your actions are not your identity. Think about water for a moment. When water meets an obstacle, it doesn't stop flowing. It doesn't beat itself up for not being able to move the rock. It simply finds another way around. It keeps flowing, keeps moving, keeps being true to its nature. That's what self-love looks like in action. But maybe you're sitting there thinking, this all sounds nice, but my self-hatred feels too deep, too ingrained to change. Let me tell you something powerful. The depth of your self-hatred is actually a measure of your capacity for self-love. Because that same intensity, that same dedication you've put into criticizing yourself can be redirected into nurturing yourself. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can continue the familiar pattern of self-hatred, or you can choose a different path. It won't be easy. Your mind will resist. Your old patterns will fight to survive. But remember, difficulty is not impossibility. Start small. Start with one thought, one moment, one choice at a time. When you catch yourself in self-hatred, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, is this helping me grow or is it keeping me stuck? Is this moving me toward the life I want or is it holding me back? Your self-hatred wants you to believe that you're broken, that you need fixing. But what if you're not broken? What if, like a seed pushing through soil, you're just growing? What if every challenge, every setback, every perceived failure is actually part of your unfolding? Think about the strongest people you know. The ones who inspire you, who make a difference in the world. They didn't get there by hating themselves into greatness. They got there by learning to work with themselves instead of against themselves. The world needs your gifts. It needs your unique perspective, your particular way of seeing things, your special combination of experiences and insights. But as long as you're at war with yourself, those gifts remain buried under layers of self-doubt and fear. Your self-hatred tells you that you need to be different to be worthy. But what if the opposite is true? What if your worth lies precisely in being exactly who you are? What if your quirks, your sensitivities, your peculiarities are not flaws to be fixed, but gifts to be shared? Same energy you've been using to hate yourself can be redirected into loving yourself. The same attention you've been using to criticize yourself can be used to nurture yourself. The same dedication you've shown to self-judgment can be applied to self-acceptance. Every time you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, you're creating a new pathway in your brain. Every time you catch your self-hatred and respond with understanding, instead of judgment, you're rewiring your neural circuits. It's like building a new road. The first few times are the hardest, but with each pass, the path becomes clearer, more natural, more accessible. But let's be honest. There will be days when self-love feels impossible. Days when the old patterns of self-hatred seem overwhelming. Days when you fall back into familiar cycles of self-criticism. This is not failure. This is being human. The goal isn't to never experience self-hatred again. The goal is to not let it run your life anymore. Think about how much energy you spend each day criticizing yourself. What could you do with that energy if you redirected it? What dreams could you pursue? What relationships could you deepen? What problems could you solve? Your self-hatred has convinced you that you're not enough. But look at nature. Does a tree need to be anything other than a tree? Does a river apologize for not being an ocean? Does a butterfly feel ashamed for once being a caterpillar? Everything in nature is exactly what it needs to be. Why would you be any different? You say there's something powerful with you. Every time you reject yourself, you're rejecting life itself, because you are life expressing itself through your unique form. Your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, they're all part of life's endless exploration of itself. When you hate yourself, you're fighting against the very force that created you. You're saying to the universe, you made a mistake here, but the universe doesn't make mistakes. It makes movements. It makes moments. It makes opportunities for growth and learning. Your self-hatred wants you to believe that you're separate, isolated, uniquely flawed. But look around you. Every person in this room has felt unworthy at times. Every person here has questioned their value. Every person here has struggled with self-doubt. This is not your personal failing. This is part of the human experience. But here's what's crucial to understand. Just because something is common doesn't mean it's natural. Just because self-hatred is widespread doesn't mean it's inevitable. You can choose a different way. Start noticing the small moments when you're naturally at peace with yourself. Maybe it's when you're deeply absorbed in something you love. Maybe it's when you're helping someone else. Maybe it's in those quiet moments just before sleep. These moments are glimpses of your true nature, a nature that doesn't need to hate. Your self-hatred has a voice, but it doesn't have to have a vote. You can acknowledge its presence without giving it power. You can hear its criticism without accepting its judgment. You can recognize its fear without letting it control your. Think about how you treat someone you deeply love who's struggling. You wouldn't berate them. You wouldn't shame them. You wouldn't tell them they're worthless. You'd offer understanding. You'd provide support. You'd remind them of their worth. This is the kind of relationship you can develop with yourself. Self-love isn't just about feeling good. It's about being true. Sometimes self-love means facing hard truths about yourself. Sometimes it means acknowledging where you need to grow. Sometimes it means making difficult changes. The difference is that you do these things from a place of compassion rather than condemnation. Your self-hatred tells you that you need to be perfect to be worthy. But perfection isn't the goal. Authenticity is. Being real, being true, being honestly and unapologetically yourself. That's what self-love looks like in action. Every moment you spend hating yourself is a moment you could be spending living your life. Every ounce of energy you put into self-criticism is energy you could be using to create, to connect, to contribute. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your presence. It needs your authenticity. It needs your unique way of being human. But as long as you're caught in the cycle of self-hatred, you're holding back the very gifts that could make a difference. Every breath you take is an opportunity to begin again. Every heartbeat is a chance to choose differently. Your self-hatred wants you to believe that change is impossible, that you're too far gone, that you've made too many mistakes. But that is a natural way. If you can learn to hate yourself so thoroughly, you can learn to love yourself just as deeply. Look at your hands for a moment. These hands have held others in comfort. They've created things of beauty. They've worked, they've helped, they've touched lives in ways you might not even remember. How can you hate something that has brought so much good into the world? Listen to your heartbeat. This heart has kept beating through every disappointment, every failure, every moment of doubt. It hasn't given up on you. It hasn't judged you. It hasn't demanded perfection. It has simply kept doing its job, supporting you, sustaining you, believing you even when you didn't believe in yourself. Your self-hatred is based on a fundamental misunderstanding. It assumes that your worth is something you have to earn, that your value is something you have to prove. But worth isn't earned. Its value isn't achieved. It's intrinsic. Think about a newborn baby. We don't look at a baby and say, well, what have you accomplished? What's your net worth? What can you contribute to society? We recognize their inherent worth simply because they exist. When did you lose touch with that truth about yourself? Your journey from self-hatred to self-love isn't just about you. It's about everyone your life touches. Because when you stop hating yourself, you become a living permission slip for others to do the same. When you demonstrate self-compassion, you show others it's possible. When you honor your worth, you help others recognize their own. Consider how your self-hatred affects your relationships. When you don't love yourself, you either accept less than you deserve, or you push away genuine love because you don't feel worthy of it. You attract relationships that confirm your negative self-image, then use those relationships as evidence that you're unlovable. Break this cycle. Your self-hatred has been your constant companion, your familiar friend, your trusted advisor. But it's time to question its credentials. What makes it qualified to judge your worth? What gives it the authority to determine your value? Who appointed it the expert on your life? Every criticism your self-hatred offers is based on limited information, on past hurts, on old wounds that never properly healed. It's operating from an outdated manual, trying to protect you from dangers that may no longer exist. Start treating your self-hatred like an overprotective friend who means well but doesn't know any better. Thank it for its concern, but let it know you're capable of handling life without its constant criticism. Let it know you're ready to try a different approach. Begin noticing the evidence of your worth that exists all around you. Notice the people who smile when they see you. Notice the times your presence has made a difference. Notice the small ways you contribute to the world just by being yourself. Your self-hatred wants you to focus on your flaws. But what about your resilience? What about your capacity to care? What about your ability to keep going even when things get tough? These aren't small things. These are evidence of your innate strength, your fundamental worth. Start collecting evidence of your value like you've been collecting evidence of your flaws. Notice the times you've shown kindness. Notice the times you've overcome challenges. Notice the times you've grown, learned, adapted, survived. Your self-hatred has been telling you stories about who you are. But these stories are not the truth. They're interpretations, perspectives, opinions, and they can be changed. You can write new stories. You can create new narratives. You can choose different meanings for your experiences. Look at your life through eyes of compassion. See how far you've come. See how much you've learned. See how many times you've picked yourself up and kept going. This isn't weakness. This is incredible strength. Your worth isn't determined by your achievements or your failures. It's not measured by your bank account or your relationship status. It's not defined by your past or limited by your mistakes. Your worth is inherent, unchangeable, fundamental. Self-love isn't a destination, it's a practice. It's something you choose moment by moment, day by day. It's in the small decisions, the tiny choices, the seemingly insignificant moments when you choose compassion over criticism, understanding over judgment, acceptance over rejection. Each person in this room has the capacity to transform their relationship with themselves. Each person here can choose a different path. Each person here can break free from the prison of self-hatred and step into the freedom of self-acceptance. Your transformation begins with a simple choice. The choice to question your self-hatred rather than your worth. The choice to explore what's possible when you stop being your own enemy and start being your own ally. The choice to discover who you really are beneath all the layers of self-judgment and criticism. You are not broken. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a human being worthy of love, capable of growth, deserving of compassion, especially from yourself. Your liberation from self-hatred doesn't require you to become someone different. It requires you to recognize who you've always been beneath the layers of judgment and fear. It requires you to remember what you knew before the world taught you to doubt yourself. Every step towards self-love creates ripples that extend far beyond your own life. Every moment of self-compassion helps heal not just your own heart, but contributes to the healing of our collective human experience. This understanding, this awakening, this shift in consciousness, it begins within each of us. It starts with recognizing that we have a choice. It grows as we practice choosing differently. It flourishes as we learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness we naturally extend to others. Your journey towards self-love is sacred. Your decision to break free from self-hatred is revolutionary. Your commitment to treating yourself with compassion is transformative. In choosing to love yourself, you become a light that helps illuminate the path for others. May you recognize the power of your presence. May you honor the truth of your worth. May you embrace the beauty of your being. May you discover the freedom that comes when you finally lay down the burden of self-hatred and embrace the gift of self-love. Stand tall in your truth. Walk gently with yourself. Love fearlessly, beginning with your own heart. For in this love lies your healing, your freedom, and your power to create positive change in the world. You are worthy. You are enough. You are love itself, learning to recognize its own reflection.